Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your lunch and ready for the third motions of today. So I would like to now invite the moderator for the sessions for motion 3. Please give her a warm applause. Thank you, everyone. Adjudicators, please, I would like to welcome you to the stage as well for the seat of adjudicators. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So before we start our debate, may I ask the debater, are you ready? If you are ready, please raise a thumbs up. Thank you. Welcome back to our third debate session. I am Sai Ling Hien, I will be serve as your moderator for the debate session 3. The motion before us today is parents should be given the full access to their children's social media account. This motion have dived into a modern-day conflicts between child's right to privacy and parent right to protect them in the digital age. Before I would like to invite the debater to introduce themselves from both teams. Welcome.
Hello everyone. Mic test. Hello everyone, my name is Maria Zahid and I am from Singapore. I'm from the government side.
Am I audible? Hi everyone, my name is Alena Jamita Hanif. I am the Deputy Prime Minister and Reply Speaker, and I am from Malaysia, and I hope it's not too late to say Happy Independence Day as I dedicate my speech for my home country. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Potir and I am from AUPP. I am the government whip and I'm really excited to be debating for this motion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gabrielle Villarama. I will be the leader of opposition and the opposition reply. I'm proudly representing the Philippines and most importantly, the University of the Philippines Debate Society.
Hello everyone, my name is Kalanya Sayapet. I'm from Laos and today I am doing the Deputy Leader of Opposition side. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Christy. I'm from Cambodia and I will be the opposition whip. Thank you.
You debaters, so before we start, I would like to brief again about the debate format. Each debater will be given 3 minutes to present their argument or counter-argument, and the team leader will be given 3 minutes to present their conclude remark. So, firstly, I would like to invite the Prime Minister, the first speaker of the government team, to deliver their opening statement and their first argument.
I'll be beginning my argument in 3, 2, 1. I, as Prime Minister, would like to present the first argument for today, which is the parents should be given full access to the children's social media accounts, as this is the first line of defense to protecting children from online exploitation and abuse. We define parents as the guardians of the child. The Convention on the Rights of the Child defines a child as a person below the age of 18 unless the relevant laws recognize an earlier age of majority. We define full access as having controls and the information to monitor, guide, and intervene if needed, and this access will expire once the child reaches legal age. ASEAN member states adopted the Declaration on the Protection of Children from All Forms of Online Exploitation and Abuse in 2019. Despite this, parents have partial access to their children's social media accounts. and little development has been made to protect children from the online sphere, both in practice and in legislature. The burden of proof for governments today is that the current safeguards are insufficient and children still face real dangers online. Hence, there is a strong need to bring this motion up. The stakeholders for this motion are children, parents, governments, and social media platforms. A 2022 ECT-PAT, UNICEF, and Interpol study revealed that 20% of children aged 12 to 17 in the Philippines have encountered online sexual abuse. Despite the weight of the issue and its scale of destruction in lives, law enforcement and digital protection for children is still lacking. While we recognize that more needs to be done in the protection of children against online harm, first and clearest step is this recommendation for parents to be given full access to their children's social media accounts. Parental access activates early detection and prevention of online threats like inappropriate interactions, sexual exploitation, grooming, and exposure to illegal content. The ASEAN Regional Plan of Action for the Protection of Children from All Forms of Online Exploitation and Abuse in 2021 stresses child protection strengthening, parent education programs, and enhancing reporting measures. An NGO study by TDH emphasizes how parental presence significantly enhances resilience in the child against online harms when supplemented with digital literacy and communication. Therefore, full parental access combined with education and communication creates a strong protective layer, allowing parents to intervene quickly when red flags are flagged. The digital sphere has provided positive opportunities for children, but it is also a place where children are vulnerable. This risk increases exponentially with the continued increase of the internet in our daily lives, and it is time to act now. Remember, it is not about control, but safeguarding. Thank you.
Thank you, the first speaker of the government team. Now, next we will hear the response from the opposition team, who will present their rebuttal and their opposing case. Thank you.
Panel, giving parents full access to their children's account doesn't actually work to prevent things like radicalization, bullying, or isolation. For the reason that, and this is what government fails to provide, is that children do not respond to rules that are explicitly imposed on them, and that is often what they're going to perceive your parents having full access to your accounts to be. Because one, children act irrationally, and they perceive rules often as hostility. And because they are young, they take everything at face value, so they can't properly discern that their parents have their interests in mind, simply that their privacy is being taken away. But as a result then, they're likely to be secretive, because either way, they will want their privacy, they will want to be expressive, and they will want to understand who they are. The mechanization of this is simple, that one, children naturally crave independence because that is how they self-discover and also attribute their successes solely to themselves. But secondly, they're naturally curious because there's so much of the world that they are yet to discover. And thirdly, that the extent of discovery and self-actualization is impeded by the judgment or the need for approval from their parents before every single one of their actions can be done. So as a result, if they cannot find opportunities for self-discovery in their immediate surroundings, they will try to find it in unregulated or unrestricted areas that their parents do not know of. This is true in that many kids end up rebelling because of the repression they experience at home. And that the impact of this is that you put kids at risk of the very concerns you want to protect them from, because these secretive forums which breed isolation, radicalization, and bullying tend to target those that are the most emotionally resentful or vulnerable. Parents only have access to accounts insofar as they are aware of mainstream sites. It's probably likely then that their children will want to look for alternative sites that are more secretive as a way to overcompensate. Which then means that providing full access is simply a problem-solution mismatch. The counterfactual or the comparative is clear. If you want your kids to be safe, the environment that you foster shouldn't be hostile. We then have better alternatives to provide safety. We say that status quo already has reasonable forms of checks and balances. That one, you have siblings and friends who will caution you on the the kinds of sites that you access. But two, you can also have parents that can still, to some extent, compromise to what platforms their kids can access. But most importantly, you need parents who don't sound mad at their children, but are there for them and are able to nurture them. This is true because historically, those who fall into the most pernicious parts of the internet do not come from nurturing families, but rather those who come from environments where you breed resentment and isolation to compensate for how overbearing their families were. They won't fall into the darker parts of the internet if they're already satisfied with their self-expression on mainstream platforms, which are the platforms their parents can access. Just generally, if you're able to provide them with the kinds of safe space that they deserve, they aren't going to want to look for more dangerous solutions. And this form of regulation or monitoring is enough and effective because you ensure that children are not robbed of their need to self-actualize, while still providing them with a safe space to seek you out for guidance when they do make mistakes. So even in the worst case that children on our side fall into the toxic parts of the internet, we still say that we can easily pull them out, because on government, you will have kids who are afraid of punishment, and they additionally won't be receptive towards advice given in your side because in the first place, you isolated them and bred resentment. Conversely, on our side, because parents in opposition acted as advisors instead of punishers, they won't disregard your attempt at support, and it's just easier to hold corrections and self-correct on our side. All those reasons, proud to oppose.
Thank you. Next, I invite the Deputy Prime Minister, the second speaker of the government team, to deliver their second point argument.
Am I audible? Do you know in ASEAN, 1 in 5 teenagers has experienced cyberbullying and countless others are exposed daily to predators online? How can parents protect their children if they are locked out of the very world where danger lurks? Opposition fails to see that privacy means nothing if child safety is already compromised. Protection must always come first, and the opposition may argue that giving parents full access invades rights and invades trust. But to be clear with you, rights are not absolute. Trust is not built by leaving children vulnerable. In fact, international law recognizes parents as primary protectors. Opposition's blind faith in privacy gambles with children's safety. What government is going to highlight today is that children face real dangers online. Current safeguards such as digital literacy campaigns are insufficient, and we strongly believe that parental duty of care outweighs children's privacy concerns. Let me give you cases answered. In Philippines, proactive parents detected early warning of online bullying. In Malaysia, children's activity online have been monitored by the parents, have prevented harmful content from being stolen. And by these cases, we show you that parental access does not harm. In fact, it saves children. So what are the principles on government today? We give you 2 principles. Article 3 of CRC, the best interest of the child must be a primary consideration in all actions concerning child. In this case, safeguarding online presence. And our second principle, Article 12 of UDHR, that the opposition may argue the right to privacy, it only prohibits arbitrary interference. Yes, children have a right to privacy, but when safety at risk, parents must have a legitimate reason and will have a legitimate reason to intervene and a lawful reason to do so. So what is the mechanism on site government? When we say full access, we mean that parents are granted both information and controls needed to monitor, guide, and intervene if necessary. So they are able to see messages, friend requests, and restrict report suspicious behavior and messages. So what we see that this mechanism, this access is temporary and it only applies when the child is a minor. When the child reaches 18, this access automatically expires, and because we believe that full digital autonomy can be transferred to the young adult. So our mechanism ensures that protection during vulnerable youth years without undermining adult independence. So moving on to my argument is that parents have a duty of care to act in the best interest of their child. Not only it is a moral duty, but it is also a legal one under UNCRC and by ASEAN's commitment to online child safety. In the digital age, this duty extends to social media because of the threats of grooming, exploitation, and cyberbullying, and we believe that parents are the first line of defense. So, to conclude, privacy without safety is meaningless. Freedom means nothing if these children, the vulnerable people in our society, are manipulated, bullied, or silenced online. Full parental access in government does not mean control. It means fulfilling the sacred duty of care to protect, to guard, and to nurture children in the digital world. And with that, I end my speech.
Thank you. I now invite the deputy of the opposing team, the second speaker of the opposing team, to present their rebuttal.
We agree that security is important, but it not mean it has to come at the cost of privacy. First of all, I would like to clarify the official age to have social media account is 13 years old, and in line with global law like Children Online Private Protection Act. For example, TikTok user under 16 accounts are set private by default. They cannot use feature like direct messaging or live streaming. The government side claim that we should give parents full access because of internet trolling thing, but we should know what is the cause of internet trolling thing. It come from things like anonymity, attention seeking, and peer pressure and boredom. Even parent full access will stop those trolls from those things, and the real solution is education, resilience, and using tools like blog and report together with parent support and let them learn. While the government seeks to protect the children, their solution carry a heavy price. Parental surveillance is not the solution, it's a problem in itself. It's actually harmful, creating mistrust and security that fail to prepare children for digital world. I will prove by this motion cause damage by focus two key points. One is breakdown of trust, and two is severe negative effect of this surveillance. One, trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Without it, a relationship becomes a dynamic of control and surveillance. Imagine knowing that every private conversation you share with your friend is being read, and is not the protection, is the invasion. Child feel control, stripping their need for independence and privacy. The evidence for this is undeniable. A lack of trust for students to hide demonstrated by the secrecy invasion cycle. Research from University of Amsterdam identify a clear pattern. When parents invade privacy, children thus become more open, they become more secretive, they create fake accounts and honest conversation, which only make parents more suspicious and intensify the cycle of mistrust and security. Full access doesn't build safety, it destroys trust and puts children into the shadow where they are even more vulnerable. Even the breakdown of trust, this motion causes the real harm by constantly monitoring child every move. This policy prevents them from learning, navigate with the digital world on their own. They never develop a critical thinking skill to recognize a threat or personal responsibility to make a good choice. So this leaves them completely unprepared for the future when they will have to manage their own digital world. And furthermore, surveillance is create emotional harm, leading to stress and anxiety. Children feel trapped, worried about being judged or punished. This breeds fear and resentment, turning parents from ally to a controller. So after considering everything, we should not agree with the giving full access to the parent. Thank you.
Next proceeding, I welcome the government whip, the third speaker of the government team, to present their third argument.
Testing, am I audible?
Yes.
I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, what the opposition is proposing is, I admit, a perfect solution to prevent a temporary tantrum that the children may throw, but it does not address or prevent the permanent harm, which is what we are trying to address and what this motion is truly want to achieve. Now, three things to expect in my speech: refutation to the opposition side, counter-argument, and our third main argument. Now, some of the issues that we spotted in the opposition side. So, the first speaker came here to tell you about this, how much nurturing them is important and why education and guidance is more effective than control. Well, first, we reject. We did not meant to control them. We do this as a safeguard. We want parents to be the shield that provide children with this safe space that that they could navigate their online platform without any problem or any worry, while worry-free. And we tell you why this education and guidance does not work out. So our side tell you the reality that first, open dialogue and communication does not get anywhere unless parents are able to identify the problem, which our full access enables that. Second, how do parents even know that their children are complying with the education and guidance if they are not able to see, and there's all this blind spot that keep all these problems undetected. So our full access will enable that as well. And no amount of guidance tools or partial monitoring would work when you're leaving this blind spot out, and this loophole is going to create a lot of problems that you're going to have to deal with and your solution fail to address. And another speaker came up to tell you about how children are naturally curious, like it's their nature to want to try things out, which is precisely why we're proposing this motion, because this is all the more reason why they are more vulnerable, and I will detail that further in my speech and in our third main argument. And they keep raising up this privacy and how much this is infringing on their privacy, but if they are truly doing something clean, they are not doing anything suspicious, what is there to hide? You are hiding something that you are afraid of and someone finding out that you're doing this suspicious activity. All the more reason why full access is important. And in another example is in ICCPR Article 17, privacy rights must be balanced against the for the child's best interest, which is why the parent has the duty to care. Now, we in our proposed model allow parents to fulfill their duty while ensuring a healthy boundary, because our framework will include the mandatory inclusion of parental access mode in all social media platforms. Granting parent access to child social media isn't a violation of privacy, it's a life jacket that keeps them afloat in this whirlpool of digital danger that we cannot predict. After all, parents hold their child's hand while crossing a busy street because they couldn't better ensure their safety. A parent's job is not to be a friend, it's to be a fortress, and a fortress does not ask permission to build its wall. Thank you. So proud to propose.
Thank you. We will now hear the opposition group. The third speaker of the opposition team will do the rebuttal.
I'll begin the speech in 3, 2, 1. International law demands proportionality. Protect children, yes, but respect their dignity as well. And full access is neither proportional nor effective. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Articles 5, 12, 16, and 18 makes it clear that children have a right to privacy and involving participation, where parents have a duty to guide, not control. Now, this is also linked to my other argument, which is our third argument, which is regarding the way that solving the root causes of online harm is far more effective than giving parents full access. And I break this down into 3 layers of analysis. Firstly, it's regarding the rights. The UNCOC is being very clear regarding that children have the right to privacy, and also they have a voice in decisions that affect them, and guidance that grows with their maturities, based on Articles 16, 12, 5, and 18 respectively. And ladies and gentlemen, the key word in this motion is full access. Once again, not limited, not proportional, but full. So over here, it clearly violates the human rights violation, and also it clearly violates the children's rights. Secondly, it's regarding to the effectiveness. Okay, let's just say this. Even if we set the rights aside, even if we ignore the rights, this motion still collapses. Parents are not a universal safety net. Some are absent, some are irresponsible, and many still lack digital skills. And over here, UNICEF reports that over 350 million children worldwide live with only one or no parents at home at all. So others may be digitally clueless. And how about the kids then? Well, they are always one step ahead. Basically, the tighter you squeeze, the faster that they sleep. They can just use fake account, encrypted chats, and hidden apps. So spying doesn't stop the problems or stop the risk over here. It just pushes them underground instead. So, thirdly, is regarding to the real solutions. The real harm over here is not the children, but it's the toxic system. harmful algorithms, unregulated platforms, and government that are too slow to act. So the UNCOC also emphasizes resilience through digital literacy and critical thinking. And that's why safety comes from empowering kids, not shackling them. So what we have to do is educate and guide them, once again, not just restrict them. So even if you say that, okay, some social media platforms also have some sort of regulations, also have some sort of restrictions. Okay, let's see on Instagram and Facebook. Yes, they have the warning, they provide you the warning, but the children just click into it and then they can still see regardless. So what is actually the problem right now? Is it for the children? Is it for the parents or the government? And the social media companies instead. So these two also play important roles in this matter as a whole. With that being said, I'm never been more proud to oppose. Thank you.
Approaching the conclusion, I kindly invite the opposition reply the team to summarize their argument.
Few issues in this debate, firstly on protection. We say on opposition that parents will only be helpful if you foster an environment where your children are comfortable with you in the first place, which means that for government's benefits to accrue, you need opposition's framework because we are their logical prerequisite and therefore we win in that regard. In the first place, if you foster an environment where you make them feel that they need to hide things because you constantly are monitoring what information they receive, what kind of communities they're able to enter into, that is when they're very likely to want to rebel against you. That is when they're more incentivized to be secretive because they do not have a life outside of you. So again, for all of the only way that their benefits are able to accrue is if these children already feel satisfied with the relationship they have with you. And I think opposition already proved quite sufficiently how that is unlikely to happen. So second then, is that the only way that we protect them is if we allow them to have that safe space, because otherwise you push them to be the most vulnerable, and this is precisely where they become, or where they are most likely to be exploited. The figures that government provides you neglect that the reason why these children are prone to abuse in the first place is because these children are afraid to reach out to their guardians or to their carers because they know that instead of being taken care of, instead of explaining why what they did is going to be dangerous, they're just going to be punished. But also, I want you to note government whip's language. Calling children wanting privacy a tantrum is precisely why children are afraid to reach out, because government antagonizes children. That is why they end up on exploitative platforms to begin with, because they need a space to be comfortable, and if they do not have it with their parents, they will find it, or they will try to find it somewhere else. Secondly then, on how you're actually able to equip children to be independent moving forward, and note that we provide the effective proactive solution. My deputy provides to you, right, that their parents, that it's very important to point out that their parents won't monitor them forever. So you ultimately only delay their vulnerability, because it's then harder for adults to have to learn digital literacy because they've already missed out on the developmental stages where at that point they're able to, understand social cues, where they're able to understand how to go about the internet in a controlled environment. If this is not something that their parents are able to allow their children to do, if you do not allow your children to be able to discern independently, if you do not allow them to figure out their mistakes, the likely outcome of that is that you breed ill-equipped adults, because now they do not understand how to go about life without you as a parent. Ultimately, you are setting them up for failure, but you also set them up for resentment. I think both of these outcomes are very bad if you actually want to protect your children, if you actually want to make sure that they have the best opportunities in life. But lastly, on the worst case on either side that these protections fail, we still say that we're the most principally sound because our solutions are based on respect of their privacy, which they're most likely to respond to, because you give children the respect of autonomy and self-discernment consistent with the UN's Convention of the Rights of the Child, particularly in Article 5, that does provide that while it's important that their parents need to care for their children, it's also important that you give them the tools to be independent, that you give them the tools to nurture their own capacities. And this self-discernment is the most crucial thing for all of this debate. All of these reasons, opposition win.
Finally, to conclude the debate, I invite the government reply from the government team to deliver the reply speech.
I audible? Honorable educators and audience, today's debate is not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about something profoundly human. It's about the safety of children. It's about the love of parents. It's about the duty of the state in protecting the most vulnerable among us, children. We are asking you as the government, if a child was in danger and you could stop it, wouldn't you want someone to act? What opposition is telling you today is that they tell you about privacy, they tell you about fear, they tell you about trust, but they never told you how to stop predator messaging children. They never told you how to help a child suffering in silence. They gave you ideas, yes, they are ideas, but the government gave you action. Opposition is confusing the symptom with the disease when talking about child rebelling. So, what is the government saying today? We're talking to you that we don't just talk of children's rights, we protect them. We gave you cases in ASEAN that shows how full access to children's social media accounts by parents have actually prevented danger and harm from falling upon these children themselves. So, and ASEAN already said and promised in the AHRD the commitment to protect children from all forms of exploitation and to recognize the family as the foundation of care. Our mechanism on site government show you that we want to safeguard children. We never wanted to control them. Our mechanism also show you that when parents are given full trust, it's not a violation to a child. It's basically us wanting parents to step in before it's too late, because we believe prevention is better than cure. This access that we are trying to see ends at 18 years old because we believe in autonomy, but not at the cost of safety. We as the government believe that privacy should not be risked at the sake of safety. And protection today ensures that there is freedom tomorrow. So we say to you with all the way to how ASEAN's commitment and the full heart of every parent who's ever said, I just want to keep them safe. Pick us. Choose care, choose protection, choose government. Because children, they deserve more than rights on paper. They deserve someone to fight for them. And with that, I end my speech.
Thank you, both teams, for your well-structured and well-presented argument. We now proceed to the question and answer question with our adjudicator. Judges, may I kindly ask you to keep the question precise within 15 seconds. Debater, you will have 45 seconds to prepare for the answer, and you will have up to 2 minutes to do the response, ensuring that each member from both teams receives an equal opportunity to answer the question.
Thank you very much for a very interesting debate. My question is for both sides. Would your argument change if you were to apply these arguments in offline children's relationship with their friends or the outer world? I'm saying whether would you change your argument if we apply this to offline? If so, why? If not, why not? Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, for your question. So it's a very good question, whether or not it changes in modality when it comes to online or offline. Because when it comes to the online sphere, it's quite easy for parents to have access to information, and just having the access to the social media would mean that you open the whole world of the child's digital environment. So it's very easy for us to control. But when it comes to offline, it's a bit different because respecting the child's rights of freedom, and the child is free to meet whoever they want, talk to whoever they want. So what is more important in this scenario is that the parent and the child has to have a very clear consensus on the awareness of digital literacy, about sexual exploitation, all of the dangers that the online sphere may face or may pose to the child, and obviously transparent communication. Because when trust is harmed between the parents and the child, it also affects the safety and the care of the children. And ultimately, we have to understand that we are facing the The reality of children is that they are less likely to report of any abuse, whether it comes from online or offline, because it's a sense of embarrassment, and also they do not know what to respond with immediately. So it's very important for us to just intervene immediately through clear communication and awareness. So that is the modality for the offline question that you mentioned about. Thank you.
So we wouldn't change our stance. We similarly do not want children to constantly be policed more so offline, but we do say that there are still less harms offline, meaning that parents can physically see what is happening to their child. So in cases of bullying, for example, it can often be quite obvious when their children are suddenly retreating or suddenly being isolated, when you can see physical wounds on them, but also you will have teachers or friends reporting on the behavior of their children, which generally means that there's far less urgency, but the same amount of regulatory mechanisms still exist. So that is to say, your parents will know who your teachers are, they will likely know who your friends are, because it's easier to physically see who you're interacting with, but also parents are able to control the environments your children are able to access, because most often children cannot go into or cannot venture into physical places on their own. They're still going to rely on their parents or other adults to take them places, which means that the same kind of monitoring is still likely to exist.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for both sides what you think the role and responsibility should be of social media platform providers in supporting your position.
Thank you so much for your questions. So regarding this matter, we as our side, as opposition side, we strongly believe that social media platforms, especially social media companies, have an important role and responsibility in playing regarding this motion as a whole, because it also focuses on the way that parents have the full access to the children's social media accounts, right? So social media platforms over here, they are created not just for business or for entertainment only, right? They also have the role to actually secure, to provide safety for the users. And over here, we focus on the children. We all know that parents are the protectors, but in this case, the full access over here is just going too much, because we believe that social media owners, they are the one who created. Of course, they have to secure the safety of the users regarding this case as well. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, for the question. It was a very interesting question. So in response to that, we have always advocated from the start of this debate that we wanted the social media platform to be one of the key stakeholders who will implement a mandatory inclusion of parental access mode for any account registration. And there's another loophole that that is also very important for them to take into account, which is the age input. So when children want to create an account without their parent knowledge, they put an age that is legal or allow them to have more option to do on the social media platform. So this should be changed into a requirement for an ID or an ID in order for them to input that age and open an account, and that allow parents to step in and have access to that. And by what the opposition proposed in their answer, they did not give us a clear picture of what their mechanism or protection looks like. We don't know what they want to imply if it's not a full access. They say it helps, but helps in what way? We are not able to tell. And by that, they still make our point stand. And we believe that in order for the sake and the best interest of the child, a full parental access mode and an ID requirement is really necessary. Thank you.
Let me say congratulations for the both sides. You are well done and good performance and with confidence. I have one question to both sides to respond. And how way to balance between parent and children, their children. Thank you.
You may answer the question.
On opposition, we think that the balance of responsibility or communication between the parent and the child needs to be a lot more fair. So our stance throughout this debate is that we think that government is pushing a clear power imbalance between the child and the parent, because the parent has absolute access to their children's profile, and essentially that is their children's identity online. We think that that is unfair. So rather, we provide the alternative that there's going to be better communication and better trust if you allow your child to some extent to have independence, because in that way, you're able to nurture their own identity, you're able to do things like prepare them for adversity or prepare them for mistakes, but also emotionally self-regulate. And it is only in opposition that you're able to do that, because in government, because you keep or you control your children fully, you don't actually allow them to discover who they are, you don't allow them to discover what it exactly is that they want. So again, on opposition, because we're able to do things like nurture them and we're able to encourage independence, this is where we think is the more fair way of balancing responsibility between parent and child.
Yes. When we talk about how to balance parents and children relationships, you need to understand that in reality, parents always have powers over their children. How do I mention that? Parents have power over their consent on their child's medical records, on their school and etc. See, what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, no matter how much autonomy of a child the opposition is going to argue about, parents have the right to give consent, parents have the right to sign over their child medical needs, parents have the right to give consent for operations. So when we say that we want to give full access to social media, and how do we balance this between parent and children, we're saying that when you give full access to parents, you kind of foster a bigger trust between the relationships, because their parents know that their child is very aware of what they're doing, aware of what they're talking about, and this opposition may say that there's abuse of authority, but we see that abuse of authority between parents and children is not a flaw in the protection of mechanism that government has proposed today. It is a government issue. We see that this protection and this balancing is needed because these legal safeguards prevent misuse. When we say about balance between parent and children, we're talking about when these access are given, you are preventing harm. It is better for parents who are actually adults to have the power to make decisions over their child, because at the end of the day, no matter how much personal autonomy that you are trying to fight over, they are still children. They are minors. By legal law, they are not able to make their own decisions. They are not able to be legally be legally counted as adults. So when you talk about children, you need to acknowledge the fact that these people are minors. You cannot treat them with the same mindset as you treat adults. So we see that balance between parents and children actually will still exist with full access of social media, because at the end of the day, it already exists in other forms of things in our daily lives. And with that, I end my speech.
Thank you, adjudicator and debaters. We will now invite a question from the audience. The audience, please keep your question brief, under 15 seconds, and the debater, you have 45 seconds to prepare and 2 minutes to respond to the question.
Thank you. So my question is to the government. So a 2020 report by UNICEF showed that children has more digital literacy than parents. So by giving them full access, would that yield little result instead, because they cannot interpret what on their child's social account? That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you for asking about digital literacy. It strengthens our policy. So our policy creates opportunity, because they may argue, what about digital literacy? Well, this policy that we have, a mechanism we have put forward by the government, will push to train parents in digital literacy. So we're not only going to protect children, but we're also going to be able to strengthen ASEAN's socio-economic gap. Because when we give parents full access to social media accounts of the children, they are going to have to learn digital literacy. Because in that way, you not only solve one problem, you solve two problems. You solve the fact that children are in danger, risk of being exploited online, and you also solve the fact that there are generations, there are parents who are not well literate in digital literacy. So basically, our mechanism where we allow full access to social media accounts for minors, it creates opportunity for the government itself, for ASEAN nations itself, to create a training program. Because currently, the current digital literacy programs, the campaigns, the safeguarding is insufficient. Because not only it caters to only a specific demographic of people, but it also undermines the fact that there are people out there who doesn't know how to use digital devices. So basically, when we talk about digital literacy, we are showing to you that at the end of the day, the government mechanism that we give you today still works in preventing and undermining the gap of digital literacy in ASEAN countries. And with that, I end my speech.
Thank you, debaters.
So our debate has come to an end. We extend our gratitude for both teams for their thoughtful debate on this significant issue. I now invite the government team and the opposition team to the center of the stage to exchange a handshake as a formal gesture of respect.